The slap echoed across the private jet's pressurized cabin like something that didn't belong in a space defined by Italian leather and polished teakwood. Crystal champagne glasses trembled on fold-out trays. Low-volume conversations among high-net-worth passengers died mid-sentence. Passengers lifted their eyes in utter disbelief, yet not a single person uttered a word. Vanessa Cole didn't fight back. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't even stand up from her seat in the secondary guest row. She simply turned her face slightly from the force of the blow, resting one hand gently against her reddened cheek, as if she were the only person in the sky not surprised by what had just occurred. Standing over her was Chloe Stanford, a senior lead flight attendant hired by the charter company to service exclusive private flights. Chloe adjusted her silk scarf, her face twisted with condescension as she looked down at Vanessa, who was wearing a plain woolen coat, simple trousers, and carrying a worn leather binder. "I told you 3 times, lady," Chloe snapped, her voice carrying across the quiet cabin. "You are sitting in a private charter reserved for executive leadership. Ground crew made a mistake letting you on this aircraft. You take your bag and get off this plane before I have airport police drag you across the tarmac." Chloe assumed Vanessa was an uninvited intruder, perhaps a misplaced staff member or a lower-level administrative worker who had wandered into the wrong terminal section at the private hangar. She saw a quiet black woman who refused to make a scene, and she mistook that quietness for weakness. Vanessa looked at Chloe calmly. She did not argue. She did not plead. She reached into her coat pocket, pulled out an encrypted satellite phone, and made a single 2-minute call. To understand the composure Vanessa Cole possessed in that cabin, one must understand the decades of quiet resilience that defined her life long before she ever set foot on a private airfield. Growing up in the working-class neighborhoods of East Baltimore during the late 1980s, Vanessa learned early that the world rarely offered fair entry to black women with ambitious dreams. Her mother worked back-to-back shifts as an assistant nurse, while her father repaired diesel engines in cold garages to ensure Vanessa could attend a decent school. Every evening, sitting under the dim light of their small kitchen, her father would clean greased hands on a rag and remind her, "Vanessa, people will judge you by your appearance before you even open your mouth. They will try to limit your horizons because of where you come from. But if you master your work and build something undeniable, no man's prejudice can ever take it away." Vanessa carried those words like armor. She earned top honors in structural engineering, pushing through classrooms and boardrooms where she was frequently the only black woman in the room. She endured subtle slights, overlooked promotions, and assumptions that she belonged in administrative roles rather than executive seats. Instead of becoming bitter, Vanessa used every setback as fuel. Over 25 years, she founded and built Apex Infrastructure Solutions, a multi-billion-dollar global firm specializing in modern transportation networks, municipal engineering, and private aviation logistics. She had become one of the most successful private equity figures in North America. Yet, despite her immense wealth, Vanessa never felt the need to broadcast her status. She traveled light, dressed modestly, and treated every person she met with dignity. The same dignity her father had shown in those cold Baltimore garages. Back inside the luxury jet, Chloe Stanford stood with her arms crossed, smirking, as Vanessa brought the satellite phone to her ear. "Keep making your little calls," Chloe sneered softly. "Police will be at the air stairs in 60 seconds anyway." On the other end of the line, a sharp, authoritative voice answered instantly. "Good afternoon, Miss Cole. Flight operations reporting. Is the Gulfstream ready for departure to Los Angeles?" Vanessa spoke in a calm, measured tone that betrayed no anger, only absolute clarity. "David," Vanessa said smoothly. I am currently in cabin 1. Your lead attendant, Chloe Stanford, has just struck me across the face and informed me that my presence on this aircraft is a mistake." A dead silence fell over the receiver. The voice on the line turned ice cold. "Miss Cole? She did what?" "Cancel the flight plan immediately. Ground the entire charter fleet operating out of this terminal until a complete audit is performed. Terminate the charter vendor's management contract and contact legal counsel. I want every person responsible for this flight's oversight outside this aircraft in 3 minutes." Vanessa ended the call, placed the phone back inside her coat, and sat in serene silence. Chloe laughed nervously, looking around at the seated passengers for support. "You think calling some middle manager is going to save you? I've worked this charter company for 9 years. I know every senior partner." Before Chloe could finish her sentence, the main cabin door swung open with a heavy thud. Stepping into the aircraft was Julian Croft, the chief executive officer of the global charter aviation firm that operated the aircraft. Behind him were 2 senior airport authority directors and 3 uniformed federal marshals. Julian's face was completely pale, his forehead drenched in cold sweat as he scanned the cabin. Chloe immediately straightened her uniform, stepping forward with a practiced corporate smile. "Mr. Croft, thank goodness you're here. We have a security breach in cabin 1. This woman refuses to leave." Julian walked past Chloe as if she were invisible. He walked directly up to Vanessa Cole, bowed his head in deep embarrassment, and spoke in a voice that carried to every corner of the plane. "Miss Cole, words cannot express my deepest apologies. We had no idea you were already on board." Chloe froze, her jaw dropping as her eyes widened in complete horror. Mr. Croft? Who is she?" Julian turned around, his eyes burning with fury as he looked at Chloe and the surrounding charter staff. "Miss Stanford, your employment is terminated effective this second. Furthermore, based on physical assault on private property, the marshals outside are placing you under immediate arrest. Your aviation security clearance is revoked permanently." Chloe stood paralyzed as federal marshals stepped onto the aircraft, escorting her down the air stairs in full view of the entire airfield staff. Within 48 hours, the charter vendor's executive board was restructured and new strict anti-discrimination oversight protocols were established across the aviation group. Vanessa Cole stood up from her seat, smoothed her woolen coat, and looked out over the runway where the sun was beginning to break through the clouds. In a world that continuously judges a person's value by superficial appearances, Vanessa proved a timeless truth. Real power does not need to shout, and true dignity will always dismantle arrogance.